With 2016 coming to a close, we have 4 more things to look forward to. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Washington. On New Year's Eve, the top-ranked Tide take on the 4th-ranked Washington Huskies in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Later, it's 2nd-ranked Clemson battling number 3 Ohio State in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Tide, Huskies, Tigers, Buckeyes. This is what we live for. This is the playoff. And welcome into Butts Talk. I'm Nick Butts. It's December 28th. Here we go. The playoff. Saturday, New Year's Eve. It's Alabama, Washington, Clemson, Ohio State. 1, 4, 2, 3. I'm ready. First, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Alabama, Washington at 3 o'clock on ESPN. Now, these are 2 stout defenses, but 2 good offenses, too. Alabama's defense coming in, led by Jonathan Allen. This is a great defense that they have here. They have more defensive scores than any other unit in the country. They're just phenomenal. They've been great throughout the whole year. If anything gives them the edge in this game, it's their defense. However, Washington has a pretty darn good defense as well. They compare to Alabama as far as sacks, turnovers. So yeah, Washington has a good defense also. Also, another thing in common, they both have pretty good quarterbacks. For Alabama, it's freshman Jalen Hurts, who has been phenomenal this season, despite all of his turnovers. That's the only thing holding him back. And for Washington, it's, of course, the phenomenal Jake Browning, the best in the West, I believe. Maybe. Definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Definitely best in the West, though. Anyway, Jake Browning, he's thrown for over 3,000 yards on the year, 42 touchdowns, only 7 picks. He's phenomenal. They both have great talent on both sides of the ball. Myles Gaskin for Washington, their running back. Damian Harris for Alabama. John Ross for Washington, he's great. He has over 1,000 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns. And then obviously there's Ardarius Stewart for Alabama. Doesn't have quite the numbers that Ross does for Washington, but he's just as good, if not better. Now this is a pretty interesting coaching battle. The ever so famous Nick Saban versus the, not as famous Chris Peterson. Peterson got his start at Boise State, put them on the map, and then took the job at Washington, and now they're back on the map. So he really knows how to put teams on the map. Now this is an interesting coaching battle because it's kind of 2 opposite-ended coaches. Both phenomenal coaches. Obviously, they both have great talent to work with. It should be interesting, though, to see, how both of these coaches prepare their team for this game. Now, I believe Nick Saban, Alabama will go in all business like usual. They've been there before. This is nothing new for them. But for Washington, they're going to have a little more fun with it. They haven't been on this stage in a long time. And I think that they're really going to have a lot of fun here. There's going to be a lot of energy surrounding Washington, and it'll be fun for them, even if they do lose the game. However, I think that Alabama will end up winning this game. I think it actually will be a little bit more lower scoring than some people think. I think it may be a 24-17 kind of game, but it'll be good. It won't be quite as low scoring, obviously, as the Alabama-LSU game, But we'll see similarities with that one with some big defensive plays and not a lot of offensive fireworks. But I've got Alabama, not a blowout, but they dominate on defense, and that's how they win the game. Moving on, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve, Saturday night. It's number 3 Ohio State and number 2 Clemson, pair of one-loss teams. However, only one of them is a conference champion. They both just have phenomenal offenses, though. Both led by great quarterbacks. For Ohio State, it's J.T. Barrett. He's got 24 touchdowns on the year, about 2,500 passing yards. He's been great throughout his years there at Ohio State. And for Clemson, obviously, it's Deshaun Watson, thrown for almost 400 yards. He's got just over 3,900, and he's accounted for 37 touchdowns this year. So he's been great. And, of course, they both have other talents, not just their quarterbacks. For Ohio State, Mike Weber, who has rushed for over 1,000 yards on the year and has accounted for 9 touchdowns. And, of course, Wayne Gallman for Clemson, who has just over 1,000 yards but 15 touchdowns. Both of these teams have a great receiving core. Ohio State has Curtis Samuel and Noah Brown. Clemson has Mike Williams, Artavis Scott, Deion Kane. Clemson is loaded at the receiver position. Mike Williams, of course, is their best receiver with 1,100 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. But Ohio State does have Curtis Samuel, who scored the game-winning touchdown for them against Michigan in double overtime. He's been great all year, and I look forward to seeing what he can do against the Clemson defense. Which brings me to defense. Clemson's defense is very young, but somehow they've been able to maintain this year. They've had no problem rebuilding, and they're back in the college football playoff, so obviously something's working out. Ohio State's defense, I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's still pretty good. They're solid all around. They have great linemen up front. They have great safeties, men in the back. This, however, I don't think this will be a defensive game. I think this will be a lot more offensive, air it out, big play kind of game. Coaching battle, well, it's Dabo Swinney, who likes to have a lot of fun, versus Urban Meyer, who, like Nick Saban, is all business. Both coaches are exceptional. Urban Meyer, of course, he won the 2 national championships at Florida and won the inaugural college football playoff at Ohio State. But these two, they're great coaches, both great. They know how they treat their players well. They know how to coach in big games like this. And I think that they will both have their teams prepared, and they'll both be ready to come out for this game. So that brings me to what I think will happen. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks. I mean, it's New Year's Eve. Clemson, with Deshaun Watson, their receiving core, their backs, I just feel like they're going to be tough to stop for Ohio State. I feel like Ohio State will have trouble stopping them. And but I also feel the same way about Clemson's defense, that they'll have a tough time stopping J.T. Barrett, Curtis Samuel, you name it. So it will be high scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams scored over 40 points. I think this will be an instant classic. I think it'll be a shootout. I've got Clemson winning a high scoring game, though. Maybe 45-38 in that ballpark. I can see them, obviously, Ohio State's favored by a field goal, but I think Clemson will win this game. Well, this is my last time coming to you from 2016. So that's all the time I've got for you tonight. So I'll see you guys in 2017. This has been Buttstock. Good night.